Evening, everybody. What's going on? Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. The GOAT, he has returned, ladies and gentlemen. Jon Jones with a TKO victory, a brutal TKO victory over Stipe Miocic to retain his heavyweight championship. Spinning back kick right to the ribs, cracked him like he was going to the Flanagans. And at 4:29 in round number 3, Johnny Bones retains the belt. This was a throttling. This was an absolute ass kicking. It was not a very close fight. It was a brutal first round to watch. He got the trip on Stipe. And, I mean, just the thing when you watch Jon Jones, this really was a thrill, you know, as a fan, especially, you know, it's funny having the dichotomy of last night and seeing like what you think will be a big event, and then like when you actually see two guys who have done so much for the sport actually get to square off and step into an octagon. I definitely think that, you know, age was wearing on Stipe, but I also think this was about as flawless as Jon Jones can perform. We haven't seen him really have a moment of weakness at heavyweight. And you see, you know, for so long, this was something that people wanted from him. And to see like what this guy, the behemoth that he already was at 205, but kind of seemed like he was either just done with it or just getting bored of it. And to see what his two performances have been, being above the 205 limit, it's been marvelous, man. It's been incredible to watch. And, you know, this first round where he's just hitting Stipe with elbows from everywhere, just vicious. He's got such long limbs and just everything has range on it, and he just finds a way to make everything hurt. It's not just a matter of, oh, this guy's got speed, this guy's got that, this guy's got his arsenal. This guy has everything in his arsenal. And like nothing, it seems like it's, you know, nothing feels like, oh my God, does Jon Jones have the biggest knockout power of all time? Does he have the stiffest jab of all time? He definitely has the greatest elbows of all time. That's bar none. But like the way he's able to just maneuver his body in a fight and wear on his opponents and make everything hurt, and the kicks hurt, and the body shots hurt, and the long kicks to the body hurt, and then you have to go upstairs because the guy is basically like this Stretch Armstrong, perfectly crafted for the sport. And this has been the way it's been since he was, you know, a young champion, since he's basically walked into the sport, and why he looks as flawless as he did. And I just, it was a thrill watching him work tonight. The way that he was able to put Stipe away like that. Stipe was at times starting to look like he was getting a little bit live, as like getting some shots off of he wasn't going to go down quietly. And then the way that Jon just demolished him with that spinning back kick. Phew. Brutal, dude. Brutal. But it was a great performance from him. It was a great performance. You know, as being asked, like, hey, did you think Stipe had any shot in this fight? I was, you know, on Jon the whole way. Not surprising. There's not really any fighter on the planet that it would take against Jon Jones. And that includes the new generation, which we'll get to here in just a second. But, yeah, I just thought if Stipe didn't do something like early, like rock Jon Jones, it's just going to be a long night at the office, because he's just going to systematically break you down. And it just felt like he found every weak point on Stipe today to do that. After that just thumping 10-8 round that he took in the first round, Stipe almost felt like he's like, what am I doing in here? You know, not being in the octagon for 3 years. You're taking on a guy in Jon who, you know, probably would have been back in there sooner if it wasn't for his injury. It wasn't, you know, outside the cage shenanigans holding it off this time. And yeah, that was leaps and bounds, man. But still one of the cool things to see. You know, like Stipe's done so much for the sport. He did retire tonight, heavyweight GOAT. And now Jon is going to probably go and seems interested in making a claim at that throne. If he's able to get on some kind of a run, he put retirement away. He put it out of the box. He teased Joe Rogan. He did not give the answer to Joe Rogan. He would not use Tom Aspinall's name. So he I guess gets a little bit of an ego win there, but I definitely feel like he hinted in a big way that Aspinall is the next fight for him. That I think, and I think, like, look, it's credit to a couple of things. I think it's credit to Tom Aspinall. He's been a great young lion foil to Jon Jones. He's really seemed to bother Jon Jones. He's gotten under his skin with all of this. But I also think that seeing the crowd reaction, seeing Dana's reaction, seeing what the fans want, I think that it's probably swayed him because, look, on its face right now, you could look at Pereira and Aspinall and who's a bigger deal to the MMA fan right now, and it's Poatan, but there is still something about, like, all right, wait, John, you're gonna skate out on another heavyweight champion? Like, you already did this with Francis, and the Francis thing didn't work out. And now we're gonna do this again, where you're gonna be in, like, your own little corner here of beating Ciryl Gane and beating Stipe. Like, there could have been that. If it doesn't work out, you can never take anything away from Jon Jones. In my mind, he's the greatest of all time to do it. Even if Tom Aspinall goes out there and beats him in 30 seconds, I'm gonna feel that way. But it would just feel a little bit like, come on, you got to defend the throne here against the young kid that's coming for it. The kid is, and the thing with Aspinall is, he's undeniable right now. Like, he's demolished 3, 4, 5 in the division right now, and John's demolished 2. So there's nowhere for him to go if it's not Jon Jones. You might as well let Tom Aspinall go to PFL and fight Francis Ngannou if you're not going to have him fight Jon Jones. With Poatan, while maybe his star power is higher right now, and he's taken out Prohashkin, he's taken out Jamal Hill, and I don't look at Rakic as this threat to him. He's got a very clear number one contender that he has to fight. And that's what it's supposed to be, man. You're supposed to defend your throne. You're supposed to take on all comers. And then if you really clean it out, then okay. But I'm thankful that Tom Aspinall badgered Jon enough to get to this point, and that the fans did a great job in New York. I think it really swayed Jon Jones. And I can't wait for it. I'm still taking Jon Jones, by the way. I'm still taking Bones Jones to beat Tom Aspinall. Tom's probably as live a wire against Jon Jones as anybody has been, probably since Gus got a second chance at Jon. You really haven't felt like. And look, there's been some guys who have been close. You look at Dominic Reyes. You look at Thiago Santos. Those guys were very, very close, and some argue could have gotten their hand raised against Jon Jones. But when you think about, all right, who's the last guy you really felt had a shot to beat Jon Jones? I think Tom Aspinall is probably as close as it gets in this era that is Jon Jones. Maybe DC the second time around, the way that went, you just thought, all right, maybe DC with all things going his way with that, maybe. But now I'd probably say that it was probably Gus in the rematch, knowing how close their first fight was. And that fight wasn't. Their rematch was not close. I mean, that was a demolition. So really cool to see Jon back in there today. Great performance from him. Glad that he is coming to his senses a little bit. Yeah, man, his jab was great today. His kicks to the body, the high kick was nasty. And then the first, I mean, he was using elbows like he was an octopus. And that's, he's ridiculous, dude. I know that there's going to be a lot of young fans who are going to be like, man, Aspinall's going to roll through him. But there's just no, I just want everybody to, like, appreciate that there's nobody like this guy. Stipe being old or Stipe not being old, nobody fights like him. He's tremendous. And it was a great performance from him. It really, really was. I'll only cover the up to the middle of this main card for everybody, because those are kind of like the big major headlines of it before we wrap it up. It is in the wee hours. I got a pregame show to do for Dolphins coming up in the morning. But Charles Oliveira beat Michael Chandler, really throttled him. I mean, a blowout of Michael Chandler outside of the fifth round, where Michael Chandler gave everybody kind of a, is he going to pull this off? And that sprint there in the fifth round that he was able to put on Charles looked like he hurt him. Starting to wonder, hey, could you get Charles Oliveira, have one of those old school Charlie Olives wilts that he's had in the past? It was, I really kind of felt like he should have gone to the well of like letting Oliveira up earlier, because he kind of fell into the trap there of running out the clock, and things kind of ran out on him. But all in all, outside, and then they started doing this ridiculous thing where like he was very impressively like standing up just with Oliveira on him, but just slamming on his back. Like, that wasn't going to do anything. It was just kind of for the show. So Oliveira won a decisive unanimous decision, 49-46, 49-46, 49-45. Yeah, just throttled Michael Chandler. Really like outstruck him by a lot in there, and then basically he basically every round went like destroy him on the feet for the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes, and then take his back and see if you could get the submission. That's basically how the first 4 rounds went, and it was a successful formula. There was at one point, I thought like it was round 2, round 3, where like Michael Chandler just straight up was like running away from him, like, and not like a Jon Jones like resetting. Like, he looked like he straight up like was like, I'm getting out of the line of fire here. Seen Chandler do that in the past before, but this was like, there was like an actual like desperation to it. And look, he took a big swing, Michael Chandler. There's part of me that does feel bad for him because he was hanging in the wind here. And his UFC career is so fascinating. I mean, this guy really carried Bellator on his shoulders. Really did. He carried a promotion, and he has come over to the UFC, and he has made himself a beloved figure. People I think really do tune in, to the point where I do think it annoys a lot of his peers. Dustin Poirier, probably the number one of those, and doesn't have a boring fight to his resume. Even this one was probably as lopsided as it's gotten, and even he got his moment to where he got a I've never seen a guy have 45 seconds of a good fight, and he gets to have post-fight call-outs with Joe Rogan. That was kind of crazy to me. None of them really wet my whistle, to be honest with you. He said, he's like, well, Islam is going to Oliveira, probably. And Holloway, he called out for a BMF fight. I don't know. Doesn't do it for me with Michael Chandler right now. I don't know where Michael Chandler really goes from here. And then, of course, he called out Conor McGregor, who, to be fair, has supposed to be his dance partner now for what, going on 2 years? And he's kind of just sitting here hanging in the breeze. I don't really know, and I don't know if Conor has tweeted as of yet. I think everybody was kind of surprised that Conor has been that Conor has been as quiet as he has been on social media. But let's see, anything new from him? Nope, nothing there. He has no tweets as of the card tonight, which is odd. He usually likes to tweet. He was tweeting a little bit back and forth with Jake Paul today. I saw that. But he did tweet out, one heck of a UFC card tonight, folks. Well, I don't know. Look, I've been under the impression for a bit that I don't think Conor's ever fighting again. I really don't. I'm not saying that to be. I just think that he doesn't. I think he likes to be in the. He likes to be in the ether of everything, but I really don't think he's gonna fight. The only thing that is, I don't know if you guys have seen, like, he's been in the middle of a civil suit over some charges in Ireland, some accusations in Ireland, and I've wondered, like, because that was supposed to pretty much line up with this, did that have any bearing on why he pulled out? I don't know. But everything just points to a guy who's never going to fight again. But even if he was, it's hard not to feel like Michael Chandler fumbled the McGregor bag really badly today. Like, this wasn't a close performance by him. And I don't think that a burst in the 5th round can save that for him. I saw tweets that he wasn't going to speak with the media today. Yeah, you typically don't. So there was that. He and for Oliveira, he sits here and he's kind of in the catbird seat as far as, like, I guess he'll await what happens with Sarukian and Makhachev and everybody getting healthy and in their spots and all that. But he doesn't have to do anything but run out the clock. Like, he's going to get a shot again. I'd imagine at some point at the belt again. Like, it's hard not to picture that that's going to happen. And, the last time it didn't go great for him against Islam. But, like, how can you deny the guy again? Like, he's tremendous. He's dangerous. And he's basically given it to everybody else in that top 5 other than Sarukian. So once that is dusted, like, I don't know. Top 5 right now is Dan Hooker, Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, Gaethje he beat. He's beaten 4, he's beaten 3. I mean, Max Holloway's top 5 in the lightweight rankings now. I suppose that could be your BMF title if you wanted to. But oddly enough, like, it doesn't feel like Oliveira ever gets into that BMF game. What does he have to do BMF for? He's basically on the doorstep of getting right back in there for the title fight. So he's in a pretty great spot. He's in a pretty great spot when it comes to all of this. And once the whole lightweight championship gets settled and Sarukian and Islam do their thing at UFC 311, I'm sure he'll be waiting there for whatever happens after that. He's in a great spot right now. And then the last thing of consequence that happened today was Bo Nickal taking on Paul Craig. He won the decision 30-27. Not really much to talk about from the fight other than it stood on the feet the entire time, and it was basically Paul Craig's kicks versus Bo Nickal's overhand lefts. I thought that Bo won the fight. I thought for sure he won 2 out of the 3 rounds. Really hurt him in the 3rd round. You saw that he cracked his eye pretty bad, and Paul Craig was badly hurt by it. So, but he didn't nominate him. It wasn't like one of these things where you're like, oh man, huge size discrepancy. Like, it was one of those things you're like, whoa, Paul Craig coming down to middleweight. You're like, yeah, this very much looks like it. The crowd was giving Bo Nickal a tough time, dude. Like, they were chanting overrated at him. They were booing him afterwards. But, and so, does this cool off the hype train for him? I mean, he didn't look bad. It's not like he went out there and got, it's not like he went out there and got a squeaker. It's not like he went out there and the judges gave him a gift. He won. He went out there. He won how he was supposed to win. But he is in a little bit of a weird no man's land because, like, what's the right fight for him? You know, like where is he at as far as like, does this get him into the rankings now? Like, do we start talking about that? Because we were talking about, oh no, like he's gonna crush Hamzat, he's gonna run through all these guys. So like, what is the next fight for him? I think that, you know, now do you wonder, hey, he didn't look tired after 3 rounds of that. Like, do you go and you give him a main event of some sort? Where do you go from here? Like, when do they start? Because the question really has to be, all right, 7 fights into this thing, kid's never really been on the regional scene, right? Like, blew up, you know, 1 fight on like a Masvidal promotion right into Dana White's Contender Series. He's steamrolling everybody. Now he went in there with somebody he couldn't really take down because, you know, you're kind of risking getting subbed and you don't want that. So he won in the most effective way possible. He went out there and put his head down and outstruck him, but didn't really look like he damaged him up until that 3rd round. So it's definitely an interesting one from here. Like, where does Bo go from this stuff? But this isn't like this isn't like Paddy Pimblett going and stealing a decision from Jared Gordon. You know, this isn't like Sean O'Malley losing to Cheeto Vera. Like, the guy went out there, he still very clearly won the fight against a grizzled veteran who's beaten some good guys. But I do think it probably pumps the brakes a little bit on all top 5 guy next. Now, it should probably be somebody else in the rankings, figure it out, and then, see if he could have a much more memorable performance before he's right there in the fire. But fun night, interesting night. And it was really, really cool to see Jon Jones back doing his thing. On the end of it, Stipe called it a career. What a freaking career this guy has had. I mean, this was an unbelievable run by him to go from, he was the curse breaker in Cleveland. He's beaten, up until Jon Jones, beaten everybody there is to beat basically at heavyweight. He demolished Francis Ngannou on the way up, just really bludgeoned him. He's beaten Junior Dos Santos, Alistair Overeem, won the belt against Verdum, lost to Cormier, then beat Cormier twice. He's an absolute monster, dude. He's an absolute monster. So, hell of a career from him. It is obviously the right time to retire. Did that have an effect on him? I'm sure that it did. He hasn't fought in 3 years. And, did that lose some of its luster? Yeah, maybe a little bit in the week. I remember Chris Weidman was chastising us on the show. He's like, yeah, there's been no talk about Stipe. But after a performance like this, where Jon just completely lapped him, you can now say, like, that's probably the right way to go with that. So, very much enjoyed the night, though, man. Good night of fights.